Hey everybody, welcome. Come on in. Welcome YouTube. Welcome podcast listeners. And I want to welcome hockey players and hockey parents. And you're just in time for the Daily C Show. If you're watching this on video or podcast, it's always just in time. But welcome to the best part of your week, to the Daily C Show. And when we do the simultaneous sip, we are going to feel the world get more and more back to normal. So all you need is water, Gatorade, or powdered greens, BioSteel protein, or any sports drink in between. I prefer water, typically with lemon and a pinch of Himalayan sea salt. This is just tap water today. And if you'll join me now for the simultaneous sip, and it happens now. Go. Now, even though this won't be live when you're watching this or listening to this, I recommend doing that because it's going to pull you in, and it's a psychological trigger to pay attention and to absorb the content that you're going to get today. So again, what I want to do with this podcast is unveil the hockey curtain. Let people know the truths and the secrets that are being hidden, the things that I'm discovering and uncovering what it takes to improve your hockey game and your life. I want to bring everything that you need so that you can dominate and enjoy the sport, and not just one. A lot of people want to focus on, just be happier. And then a lot of people want to just focus on, let's just perform better and who cares how you feel. But I like to think that you can have both simultaneously. So make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Make sure to let me know, leave a comment, and we'll continue to produce more and more content. So let's talk about some little micro updates. So what we got is the water filter. So one thing I've been trying to add is drink a lot more water. And I've realized that it is pretty expensive. It's also very, I think, environmentally unfriendly to constantly be getting water bottles all the time. So what I did was got this Hydro Peak water bottle, 40 ouncer, which is like a liter, 1.2 liters. And I've started using this pretty consistently now. I try to drink at least one of these a day. Before, I was really struggling to drink a lot just because it's kind of annoying to just have a glass somewhere in your house like this and then try to carry it around different places or remember to always drink something. The technique I was using was, just grab the cup every time you pass it, fill it up, drink some. But that's been pretty annoying, so I've switched over to having a bottle so that I can bring it places, and I know I'm drinking a certain amount each day as long as this is empty. So that's good. Now, the issue that I think is something worth addressing, or something I've wanted to address, was that it doesn't make a lot of sense to drink tap water if it's not that great. You can taste when tap water tastes weird, and that means that there's probably chlorine or lead or some kind of chemical in it, or some kind of metal or chemical. And by no means am I an expert in this, but I do think that there's something to that, and I think that it's worth considering to deal with. So what I'm going to be doing moving forward is just ordered a water filter. I can't remember the name right now. I could actually look it up. I found it for $20 in the US. Let's pull this up for you guys so you can check this out if you want to try it. The reason I picked this one is just because of the price and also the reviews. So let's see. Got to go to my orders. It is a... Takes a lot of clicks to get to it after you've ordered it. A Water Drop WDFC01. It's 320 gallon, long lasting. So ultimately I picked that one just because it seems to have a lot of kind of solid benefits, but again, I really don't know. The premise and the principle that I wanted to share was just that idea that I think it's worth getting that if you're not sure about your tap water, and it definitely will just be an easy addition. Now, the thing you want to be careful of is removing all the minerals from the water, because this can turn it into, basically, it's like distilled water where you're going to be missing certain nutrients or micronutrients, and then what's going to happen is through osmosis. So like An example is, say that you have a solution that has a whole bunch of salt and a solution that has no salt. So what's going to happen is when you put them beside each other, what's going to happen is that the one that has the salt, so let's say this one's the one with the salt, some of that is going to shift into the one that doesn't have any, because this is how water will balance out. So what happens is that any kind of nutrients, if you drink distilled water or water that doesn't have any nutrients, basically those nutrients get sucked out of your system in order to create a balance with that water. So if you drink water with no nutrients, pretty crappy for you. So what you do is you add salt to it, and you add nutrient dense things to it. So what I add is Himalayan sea salt, because it has, I believe it's 84 or it's over 80 different micronutrients in it. So it's a great way to add sodium and then also a bunch of other really good nutrients. So you just add a little tiny pinch. If you have like a grinder, just like one grind of it is perfect. That's all you need. So you got that. Then I think it's worth adding that to your routine for $20. It's really not that bad to add that water drop thing, or any kind of one that you find. The reason I didn't pick Brita's because there wasn't really good reviews on it. So yeah. Next, the home gym. So for anybody who's working out at home, if you're in quarantine, I recommend designing your own home gym and maximizing it. This is something that I think is really strange that a lot of athletes don't invest in. If you work out very consistently and you want to kind of pick the way you spend your money on just anything, having, let's say, a set of dumbbells or a rack so you can squat, you could put anywhere from $500 to $1,000 into a gym. And as long as you have dumbbells and a bench, you have a lot of optionality. You can do a lot of things. So I've put in probably $1,800-ish approximately to my gym, and it's been the most beneficial thing I could have done during quarantine. I did it very early, and I've had it for a while, and I've been able to put on a ton of strength, ton of size, and just felt really good. It's something that I've never been able to work on. So for anybody considering this, order some bands, order some dumbbells, order some weights, so that you have that. Because then even when quarantine's done, you always have an option to work out. There's no excuses. And this is probably the biggest mistake I think people make, is they make it super, super, super difficult to work out. You have to drive 30 minutes to your personal trainer very consistently. You have to get dressed. You have to shower after at the place. You have to pack your gym bag, prep your water, prep everything. If you have enough to work out even just half of the time at home, and your trainer can give you stuff to do, this is so much easier. And then you're always adaptable. So why not do that? I never have understood that philosophy. So try it. It's such a simple way to do it. So get a home gym. It doesn't have to be crazy. So next, speed inside. So doing speed work inside is pretty interesting. I found that it's been difficult to do. I found it a little weird because if you don't have a lot of space, it's hard. I think the best thing to do when you have this kind of time frame is working more on power. So it can be bounding, it can be little quick explosive movements, weighted bounding, anything like that. If you're going to do the plyometrics is probably your best bet, just because if you don't have space to sprint, it's going to suck. I've been doing a lot of ladder work because I think that the speed and the quick footwork is something that I've wanted to work on. So if you're someone who hasn't had quick feet in the past, if you can find a space to do the ladder, let's say it's in your garage, or if you set up an area in your basement like we have here, definitely worth it. Yeah, just consider that. It's definitely worth the effort. So try to find a way to do speed inside. But again, I'm not sure, and that's something I like suggestions of. So if you have any ideas, let me know. Point me in that direction. Leave a comment below. Next, back to skating. So I've finally gotten back to playing hockey again, and been skating with some younger teams, some U16 teams, U18 teams, and it's been sweet. It's been super interesting. And one of the very interesting shifts that I've had to go through was dealing with not being good, not being comfortable. And I think the best way to deal with this is just having the philosophy of being okay with being a beginner again. There's certain things that you lose when you're not on the ice a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to be going through that. And it's important to understand that that's not who you are as a player. when you've lost time, it's not about making excuses and saying, oh, well, that's just why, that's the thing, it's not my fault. It's not about doing that, but it's understanding the skill level that you have, the abilities that you have and can have, and knowing when they're just not there at the moment, and being brutally honest with yourself, being open about how you actually feel about that, and not just pretending like, oh, everything's all good, I'm just as good as I was. You're probably not going to be as good. And I have accepted that I'm not at that level right now, and that's why I'm putting in that time. And I can notice every single time things start to come back, little pieces of the puzzle are starting to come into play. And the key is, again, not associating who you are when you come back as that's your new identity. Well, I'm just going to be the guy who's trying to work hard and get back. That's okay to be in that situation, but that's not who you are. And if you can reframe that, that's where you're going to be able to get the benefits of coming back and not losing that mentality and not losing the identity that you once had. All right. So now let's get to the most important part of the entire thing, which is how to manage overwhelm. So I've been dealing with this for the last while. If you pay attention to my content consistently, you've probably noticed I haven't put out a lot of content in the last about month. And that's because I have shifted into going back to college. I'm focusing on trying to do that while in addition balancing a whole bunch of moving situations, trying to balance schooling situations, as I now can announce that my team has officially decided to go back to a club level. So that is looking like I'm going to be doesn't look like it. I am going to be moving to a different location. It's not confirmed where. Unless our team was to magically switch back to a Division III, I would. But yeah, Bryn Athyn has decided to go in the club route. So that means trying to find a new place. And that means putting a lot of work into trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I do that? Who do I contact? And it has been very, very challenging to do. And anybody who's gone through this or is going through this, I feel you. I feel the frustration, the overwhelm, and just the different emotions that you have to go through. So what I wanted to offer is I'm starting to come out of this situation and really figure out what I learned from it, what I was able to do, what worked and what didn't. So I want to share what I got about managing overwhelm. So first of all, the first thing you can always do on a daily basis is doing some form of meditation. Why? Well, the reason that meditation makes such a massive difference is because it's so easy to do. All you need to do is find a place, sit down, and just focus on the breath. Let your mind just wander and notice it and become aware of it. And just do this for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can. I recommend doing the most you can, because the more you do it, the more you're training your mind to relax. The more you're getting past and breaking down mental filters and barriers that you've built up. And if you can break these down, you're going to notice such an insane level of shift in your perspective. And you're going to be so much happier, so much more relaxed, and just be able to calm down. And I just can't recommend it enough. Now, second, reframing the situation. And after you are doing a consistent meditation, you're breaking down these stories and these made-up mental barriers you have. Then the next thing you want to do, let me just adjust this one thing on the camera, there we go, is learning to reframe the situation in a more positive way. And how to reframe this in a more positive way is looking at this from a challenge perspective. Now in Stoicism, what they like to call it is being challenged by the Stoic gods. And it doesn't mean you actually have to believe in real Stoic gods. They actually encourage you not to. But it's to imagine that you were being challenged. And these things are designed to help make you better. They're preparing you for something. So anytime you go through a challenge, just like if you go to a workout and you're challenging your muscles, know that that's because you're challenging them to be stronger for the next thing you're going to do. In hockey, you're challenging the muscle so that it'll be stronger in your next game, and next shift, next season, or in your future career. So reframing that is a massive opportunity. So give that a try. It's such a good way to really just look at it from a better perspective. And perspective is everything here. And we'll revisit that in a couple steps here. Number 3, accepting the emotions. So The worst mistake you can make here is feeling angry about being angry, being depressed about being depressed, being anxious about being anxious. This is a really easy loop to fall into. So you can be sad, and then you realize, oh, well, I'm just sad now because I'm sad. And now I'm sad that I'm sad about being sad. And this weird loop can just repeat in your head. So address when this happens and learn how to accept the emotions. Learn how to actually deal with them and manage these emotions right away. It's a very game-changing thing to do. Because if you can just understand that these emotions are here, you don't need to resist them or push them away, but being frustrated, being sad, being angry are just happening. And you have to learn how to get past that. And by knowing that they exist and not resisting them, they can kind of move past you a lot quicker. Number 4, write down every single thing. So when you're going through a lot of different stuff all at once, the worst thing you can do is try to balance it all in your head. The best thing you can do is write every single thing down. Write it all down. Because then you start to realize, okay, I have 15 things to do. And let me knock each one of those down. A lot of the times where our mind will perceive 15 things as 100 things because it can't really process all 15 at once. So it looks at all of those things as, okay, well, that's 10 things here. That looks like 10 more things. That it's trying to edit and it's trying to organize these things, and it's not really sure what is what. So understand that your mind's not going to be able to do this very well. So take the time, write every single thing down, and take the stress out of your mind for having to manage it. And you'll realize that you can then shift into the next thing, which is breaking things up into smaller tasks. So once you have those, let's say 15, you can break those up into 3-step things that you need to do for each of them. So maybe, for example, you need to contact a specific team. So you write down, locate the email address, send email, and then respond to that email. Maybe it's just 2 there. But the best thing you can do is just break them down into micro tasks, and then they become super easy, and you can knock them out really quick. And then flowing into the next step, which is knock out the first 3 easiest things you can do on your list. Because once you create a little bit of a pattern of momentum, you're going to realize that it's actually very easy to complete these things. It's much easier than you probably thought to create this momentum. And that's the next step, is do those 3 things, build momentum, and then allow yourself to just flow into the next thing. You're going to have times when you're tired. Be okay with taking a break on a night, but plan to incorporate and use that rest to then go into the next thing and allow that momentum to build, knocking out those early things. Then you have wide perspective. What does that mean? Well, a wide perspective is looking at where you are and then also looking at all of the time before and after and how this all fits together. The biggest mistake you can make is to approach what is happening today as what's going to happen a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. Instead, zoom out, look at a wide view, and notice that things aren't as important as they may seem. This is a illusion that your mind creates. It has a bias towards the present, and it actually refrains from looking at the future and how everything connects together. So notice that bias. Notice how your brain wants to look right now and say, well, not happy. Things aren't good enough right now. Notice that. And then you can start to look past that and break down that bias. So use that wide perspective. And then finally, nothing matters. This is the most important of all of the things. Now, I'm not saying that life doesn't inherently have meaning. I'm not trying to break down, make you sad. What I'm saying is that it's okay no matter what happens in life. If things go wrong, if you don't have a good day, you don't have a good week, month, year, 10 years, it's okay. Because what really matters is that you enjoyed it. The life that you had, the day you had today, may have been someone else's dream life. Some kid in a very low income community or low income in a third world country may just dream to be able to say that was a stressful day, what you went through today. And now this isn't to make what you did feel smaller, but it is important to consider that there is a perspective there, and it's okay no matter what happens. Anything that happens in your life can be managed, can be dealt with, and then you can move on to the next thing. So what you want to take from this is that using these things, meditate, reframe the situation, accept the emotions, write down every single thing, break things into smaller tasks, knock out the 3 easiest things, build momentum, create a wide perspective, and understand that whatever happens is fine. You can always adjust, you can manage it. So hope this helps anybody going through an overwhelm right now, and this is how to manage overwhelm. I'm Corson Searles from Identity 2.0. Thanks.